Hello and welcome to the Experiencing Love podcast. I'm your host, Philip Jocks, and I'm so glad that you're here. These past few days have been an interesting adventure for me, learning about myself and realizing just how far I've come. I've noticed that I truly am building a lot of muscles in my life, and I don't just mean physical muscles, I mean habits and patterns as well that are going to be very important for me in my future. I often find myself caught in the trap of comparing myself to, say, different influencers or public figures that are way ahead of where I am. And I get caught in that trap seeing the success that they have and wondering just how far do I have to go to achieve my success, the success that I want. Because I also see that my success and what I'm aiming for is different than what other people are aiming for. So I have to remember to keep that perspective that my path is going to look a little bit different. But I see all these influencers and figures, and many of them talk about this near monster-like work ethic that they've had at least at the beginning of their business journeys. And I say monster-like because they're saying things like, I stopped doing everything but my business. I was working 18-hour days, 6 days a week. For 2 to 3 days out of the week, I just wouldn't eat because I could get more work done if I don't eat. And I just see all that and I say, I don't know if I'll ever get to that level of grind. And I also don't know if it's really that worth it for me. And let me explain. My number one value right now is being healthy and being energized, because I know my creative output and my productive output is much higher when I'm healthy and when I'm full of energy. And I find that doing stuff like that, overtaxing the body day after day for weeks and months at a time, because doing an 18-hour day or doing a couple 18-hour days in a row every once in a while is not the worst thing. I can do that, and I have done that. But it's when it's described as a multi-month, multi-year pattern that I see it and I go, that directly goes against my values of staying healthy and energized. So then I have to weigh the costs. I have to weigh the pros and the cons, and I have to say, well, how bad do I really want this? Asking myself the question, am I really willing to do whatever it takes? And I guess a part of me wonders, when people are able to do stuff like this, is that something that they built in themselves? Is that a skill? Is that a mindset that they cultivated over time, or did they just always have that? Because although it goes against my values of health and energy, there is a part of me that does want to work towards it. In truth, I would actually find pride within myself of being able to do something like that and have solid creative output for that amount of time in order to really create what I want to create. Because right now I'm in that, say, 6 to 12 hour a day range, right? For 5-6 days a week. On a good day, I can get a lot of work done. And sometimes on my worst days, I have to call it quits a little sooner, or maybe get an extra bite to eat, or go to sleep a little earlier so I can catch up on the sleep that I'm missing. I like to believe that it's a skill I could build. That although I don't have it quite in me right now, I'm growing and I'm expanding, and the muscle of being able to do that is growing. I don't think I could always work to the level that I work now, and I think that's only going to improve, especially as I get hungrier and hungrier. As soon as I start hitting my first and second and third big milestones, I know that's just going to explode. It's going to become something bigger than I ever realized, and it's just getting to that first step, that first milestone, because I'm taking the steps every day, whether it's for myself or whether it's for my business. And I also just acknowledge that I am who I am. I've done a lot of work, and I've spent a lot of time and energy and money and resources really learning more about myself, putting myself in different environments and finding and creating experiences that just open up my worldview and teach me who I am and who I want to be. And I know how I react and how I perform in certain environments. And I also know enough about people, enough about psychology, which is not that much, but enough that I know that not everybody's the same. Not everybody thrives in the same environments. Not everybody performs in the same ways. Some people are better at one thing or another. Some people are more driven and committed than others. And I think what often happens is a small percentage of people will reach the top, will reach that pinnacle of what everybody sees as success and wants that, and they'll share what they did. And I guess I have to remember it like this. There are these people who put in 12, 15, 18 hours a day, every day into their businesses and are now multi-millionaires, some billionaires, and they've made it. But I don't want to confuse it as that's the thing that made them who they are, because I guarantee there's just as many, if not many, many more cases of people who work 16, 18 hours a day for 6 to 7 days a week and have not made it. Their businesses fail, or they're not even in business. They're just working multiple jobs to provide for their family and for themselves. And so I have to remember that it's not strictly the time that they put into it. We all have the same amount of time and we all use it in our own ways. And I know that these super successful people, and I define super successful right now as successful business owners. I'm not commenting on their personal lives, but I see these successful business owners, and I have to acknowledge that, especially when you get into the 10 million and above range in revenue. I think the statistic is something like only 4 out of 100,000 businesses ever reach $10 million in revenue. And so I'm seeing these influencers who are talking about their 8-figure, 9-figure businesses, some 10-figure businesses, and I have to understand that they are such a small percentage. They've helped many people build their businesses, and much of what they teach and talk about does contribute to success, but it's not just one thing. I have to remember that just because I put in the time doesn't mean I'm going to get the result, because with time, I also need to add the value. I need to bring value to other people's lives. I guess that's one thing I rarely consider is people who are successful in business, people who are successful in life, they're successful because they provide some type of value to another person, or they provide value to parts of themselves. So rather than focus on net time in my business, I want to focus on net value. And by net value, I see it as for the time and the energy that I'm putting in, is it creating a net value to the world and to myself? If I'm working the 15, 18-hour days, is that value that I'm creating, is that quality, or is it actually more so degrading myself? And so is the net value lower than what I want to put out there? I guess in this weird way, I'm just workshopping this now in my head and out loud to you guys, that you have to know at what point are the returns diminishing. At what point is the time and the energy that you're putting in not creating the same level of output? And would it benefit you to, instead of pushing through that, maybe take a 30-minute nap? Maybe stop an hour earlier in the day to get an hour extra of sleep, because that extra hour will energize you the following day. I get it. This work hard, play hard mentality, this ethic that exists on social media and in the world, it's strong. It's there. The lifestyle is appealing to many people. Admittedly, parts of it are appealing to me. But to what degree do I want that to be my life? Am I willing to feel run down and exhausted for most of my days? Or do I want to make sure that I'm taking care of myself along the way, so that it's more of a value, it's more of a habit of mine, not something that I will then need to do a whole 180 later in the future because I've quote unquote made it and I'm allowed to. I don't know, for the time being, today is a rest day. I usually give myself Sundays, but in truth, the last few Sundays, they haven't been rest days. It's in that way that I just have enough daily patterns that I do that it just not the rest that I need. And so yesterday, I just sat back and relaxed. Today, I'm going to finish recording this, going to go make some food, go to the gym with my little brother, and then I'll probably just watch a movie, take it easy. Tomorrow, I plan to meet up with a friend that I haven't seen in a little while, and then starting Monday, I'm right back in it. I already see it 6.5 hours every single day, making sure to get the rest of my priorities done, plus many more hours on things that don't directly contribute to the business but are associated with. Anyways, without boring you with details, I have a fun week ahead of me, and almost to gear up for it, I'm starting right now to build up those energy reserves, because I know it's going to be an explosion at the start line. So I thank you for being here, and I thank you for just listening to this rant and tangent. I know I often talk about rest, and I think it's important that there are people in the world to talk about it. I think it's important that there are those people in the world that stress a work hard, play hard mentality to show you one side, and then that there are other people out there advocating for listen to your body. What is your body? What is your mind telling you? Yes, you could push through it 100%, but to what end? At what point do you listen to your body? At what point have you gone too far? I don't know, I guess I'm trying to have both those voices in my head. And it's a fun balance, I'll tell you that. It's a flow. So I thank you for being here. I truly hope you have a calming rest of your day. Remember to always fill up with the love, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. I love you.